And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com. I'm imagining the folks at Hail Mary's are not in a great mood today, but that's okay because they still are a great place to go in Cheviot on Harrison Avenue. They're in the Dora District, so you can walk from bar to bar with your drinks if you need to like walk off some steam. Maybe you're a little heated at the how the end of a game finished. You get a little chance to stretch your legs. But then you come back to Hail Mary's, 27 TVs, 9-screen video wall. There's not a bad seat in the house. Now that DirecTV is back, they've got every sports package that DirecTV offers. You can stream all the games there. Cincinnati Sports will always be on the video wall, and they have a brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines. And not only do they pour the coldest beer around, but 32.8-degree beer frosted glasses to contain your beverage of choice. All right, let's get this show on the road. Aaron, are you all right? Are you in the right mental state for this?
Yeah. Since
okay.
What at least look, if the Bearcats had lost in that type of fashion yesterday, the way that things looked like it was starting to go, we'd be having a whole different conversation because my whole weekend would have just been a mess. And I don't know what mindset I'd be in, but I'm okay.
The Bearcats got the job done.
They
did. This is Sunday night, so this is our Big 12 recap show. Some interesting outcomes in the Big 12. It looked like it might be a real interesting day with some upsets and some closer games that the Big 12 teams ended up pulling away towards the end. But let's get right to it as we break things down. Let me scroll back up to the top here. Thursday, Arizona State 31-28 over Texas State. Texas State is good. They are, I would say, definitely a contender, or should be a team that's in contention for the G5 playoff spot. Arizona State didn't look as convincing as they did in weeks 1 and 2. That's what happens when you step up in competition. But give Arizona State credit for getting this win on the road for a team that everybody expected to be bad. And we've seen, like, if you're a bad team, look at Florida State and you play one of these teams that is expected to be one of the better group of 5 teams, you can get beat very easily. You can get beat. So hat tip to Arizona State for continuing to play well. They are at 3-0. They get a nice win.
Took a field goal with 6.5 minutes left in the game. They were Arizona State, the only team to score in the fourth quarter. They found a way to win. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's ugly. It doesn't matter if it's by a landslide. A win is a win. So hat tip to Arizona State.
Maybe the most telling game of the week, Kansas State and Arizona. Kansas State up 14-7 at halftime. Looked like it was going to be a barn burner. Kansas State, their only touchdown came in the first quarter. Kansas State, get it right, Brendel. Kansas State pulls away in the second half, 17-0. 31-7 is your final score. Avery Johnson rushes for 100 yards, 110 yards in the game. I'm the Kansas State bandwagon is back on. They were my pick preseason to play in the conference championship game. I'm back on the bus. They didn't look great last week. They look great this week.
Titaroa McMillan, 11 catches, 138 yards. Another monster game for him. He was unable to find the end zone. And truthfully, Arizona struggled to find the end zone. Only 19 carries, 56 yards for the rush game for Arizona. That all said, I still don't know if Avery Johnson is a dude. He only had 156 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Now, he did have 110 yards on the ground on 17 carries. I still don't know what to make yet of Avery Johnson.
And this is not a game you're going to find out because they took control and they played with a lead for most of the game. So he doesn't have to sit. That's going to be the ultimate question with them. Can he stay in the pocket and pass in a in a high scoring battle in a game where the two teams are going back and forth, can he be a quarterback and not just a running back that plays quarterback?
And while that question is still a question for Avery Johnson, the next game we're going to talk about, I think we have an answer to that question.
Yeah, UNLV, another really good group of five team that could challenge for the playoff spot. 23-20 over Kansas. Kansas only scores 3 points in the second half. Kansas fans making a very interesting, astute observation over the past 2 weeks.
That Jalen Daniels is not good.
Jason Bean was really good last year. Jalen Daniels has not shown us really good this year.
Well, he is good on his feet. 11 carries, 65 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But as for the air, 12 to 24, 153 yards and 2 picks. I think he's got at least 5 picks on the season.
I know he had 3 last week, at least 3 last week.
He's up to 6 in 3 games. So he's averaging 2 picks a game for a guy who last season, before the season started, he was your preseason favorite for
player of the year. Yeah.
Big 12 player of the year, offensive player of the year. His stock's taking a huge hit.
Yeah. Well, Kansas fans were looking at how they played with Jason Bean and going, well, when Jalen Daniels comes back,
right,
of course we'll be better than we were with Jason Bean. As it turns out, like Jason Bean had a really good training camp in the NFL where people were like, is this guy actually good? I loved him when UC played Kansas. I thought he was outstanding.
I wanted him last year over Emory Jones.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you got your little like quarterback crush who you wish would be your quarterback over the guy that you got. I would have been totally fine with Jason Bean being here.
You know what would have been incredible to watch right now? If somehow Jason Bean was still at Kansas and the uproar. God. Yeah. Like the QB cries. You might have had to have replaced him after last week when he threw 3 picks.
At the very least, he would have been put in this game, if not
quick leash. So yeah, that's Kansas tumbles. They are 1-2 on the season, 1-1 at home. They would have to have a miraculous turnaround in conference play. Now they haven't played a conference game yet, so maybe they can get it on track. But man, that offense to only score 20 points. Oof. Utah 38-21 over Utah State. Utah was consistent again. No Cam Rising. The guy that filled in did pretty good. Threw for 3 touchdowns. Utah State is bad. Utah did what they should have done here, but I guess without Rising, you can give them a pass on not like just crushing Utah State.
Sure. They did what needed to be done. 220 on the ground, 239 in the air. Pretty balanced for a guy coming into who knows when Cam Rising is going to be back. It doesn't sound like it's going to be next week. So this could be a couple week thing. So good on you, Isaac Wilson.
Oklahoma State 45-10 over Tulsa. Tulsa's 10 points come in garbage time. That was an ass whooping basically right from the jump. Tulsa never had a chance.
Ollie Gordon still a shell of himself this season. 17 carries, 41 yards, no touchdowns, an average of 2.4. Not good.
That's head scratching for a guy that was supposed to be the best back in the country.
In a game that you were winning by a lot, you'd think that you'd get your fair share. This was that type of game.
17 touches. It wasn't like they didn't give him a chance.
You're right. It's not they weren't trying. Yeah.
I mean, if you look like college, 6-7 yards a carry is what the high end backs get. That should have been 120, 130 yard game for him, and he had 40, even with just 17 carries.
Dijon Stribling, 7 catches, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Talon Shetron, 3 catches, 110 yards, and a touchdown for Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
So two guys
Bowman.
eclipse 100.
Bowman with 396 and 5 touchdowns.
Crazy.
Pretty good day
Great
at the
day.
office.
Great day.
Texas Tech, talk about beating the you-know-what out of somebody. It was, 52-7 at halftime over North Texas. They cruised to the finish line and win 66-21 for a team that did not look good the first 2 weeks. And they did this a little bit last year where they had a slow start and then they played a lot better as the season went on. I'm not ready to say it's back on track for Texas Tech, but they needed that one bad.
Yeah, Taj Brooks is kind of a great equalizer, I guess.
Oh.
In Texas Tech's 2 wins, he's been active. In the loss against Washington State, he was not active. He gets back on track, 17 carries, 109 yards, and a touchdown. So good on you, Taj. He's really good. He might be the best back. Although RJ Harvey would like a word.
Yeah, that dude. We'll get
there.
Yep. We'll get there. Backyard brawl. Stop me if you've heard this before. Pitt makes a big comeback late. They take the game 38-34. Pat Narduzzi whining about officials. Shut up, Pat. He got fined today. Shut up. But nice win for Pitt, and at least I know it's the backyard brawl. Whatever makes me feel a little bit better about UC West Virginia at Nippert Stadium later in the season.
Yeah, West Virginia struggling thus far this season, 1-2 for a lot, myself included. A lot of people had them as in the top half of the Big 12. I am not so quick to put them in the top half at this point. I don't know if West Virginia knows who West Virginia is right now, and they're still trying to figure it out.
So, Aaron, this is what Cincinnati is. They don't play Cincinnati until November 9th, right?
It's a while.
This is what West Virginia has leading up to that. Kansas at home, 2 desperate teams right now. Desperate. Sure. At Oklahoma State, number 14.
Yikes.
Iowa State at home.
Not great.
Kansas State at home. Iowa State's number 20. Kansas State's number 13. At Arizona. Those are their first 5 Big 12 games before they get to Cincinnati.
3 teams that are currently ranked, 1 team that just fell out of the top 25.
Yeah. This was my fear for this West Virginia team is that
it's a gauntlet.
They got very fortunate with their schedule last year. They played well. That is not to take away from what they did. They got fortunate. The schedule broke right for them. They won some close games. They got some momentum, and they carried that through the end of the season. Getting momentum right now, they got smacked by Penn State. They close loss that they should have probably won against Pitt. And now the schedule gets real interesting. Baylor and Air Force close at halftime. Baylor pulls away 31-3. I don't know. I don't think you can take anything really from this.
If you win against an armed forces school,
right,
you figured out how to control the game, how to control the ball, control the tempo.
You got stopped in the second half. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. Sure.
Colorado 28, Colorado State 9. Colorado State's not good. Colorado did what they had to do. Big day for Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter. But really the thing that caught my eye as they took control of that game, they were running the ball. They were not just, 60 throws for Shedeur.
He had 49. I mean,
he did throw it a lot after. Once they started getting a little bit of separation, they were trying to.
One thing we know about Shedeur Sanders is he's gonna get his.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Sure enough, it took 49 attempts, but he got his 300 yards. Well done, I guess.
By far the game of the week.
It was just a chippy game.
No, I mean the next one.
I'm talking about Colorado State.
Yeah.
It was a chippy game, and you won, and then he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like the way Shadur handled himself after the game with the lack of a handshake for the Colorado State quarterback. But
He's disrespectful. We know. This is not shocking.
news.
He's disrespectful. The next game, the game of the week, unbelievable. TCU up 21 in the third quarter. Stop me if you've heard this before. UCF storms back 35-34. You know what's like watching this game? It's there's only one thing I could think of. RJ Harvey is so good that down 21, they don't have to panic and stop. Like he can hit from 60, 70, whatever. Like that threat of him is very like once a game, it feels like he hits one of those massive runs. So you don't have to put it in the hands of KJ Jefferson, who was as bad as you could be in the first half. And then
he had 64 yards, I think, in the first half. It was bad.
And then in the second half, like he was good. Not great, but he was good.
I wouldn't even say good. He was serviceable. He was game manager.
But when you're handing the ball to RJ Harvey, game manage away. I was ready to ask in the first half, is this the best running back, worst quarterback combo in America?
It might be. RJ Harvey, though,
I didn't do it because he had a good second half.
29 carries, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think what's most impressive is the fact that his long was only 27 yards. You talk about how he's going to break one off. He broke a couple big ones off. Like there was some chunk yardage there as you're carrying it 29 times for 180 yards, average of 6.2. He's really good.
The thing I think, like at least one of the touchdowns, it would have been good from 99 yards. It just happened to be they were closer to the end zone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
If they had more ground to go, he was still running away from dudes when he got to the end zone.
He also added a receiving touchdown in his only catch of the game for 29 yards. So
he's so good. Like, so the balance is great. His ability to find the hole and then explode and get, 8, 10, 12 yards at a time. I enjoy watching him play.
You see who led the team in tackles?
Yeah. Oh, he's not an issue when you're winning. Why do you think he's never an issue here?
They weren't winning most of the game in any case.
But I'm talking about over
11 tackles
period of time.
11 tackles for Deshaun Pace, 8 solo. We are calling him Deshaun now, right?
I'm not calling him anything. He plays for somebody else.
All right.
Houston did what they had to do. Beat Rice 33-7. It looks like after a disastrous start, Willie Fritz has things at least trending in the right direction.
It's Rice.
I know. Rice isn't good. But I'm talking about how bad they looked in week 1. They looked awful. They're at least, and then they played Oklahoma close last week. They do what they're supposed to do against Rice this week. I'm just saying they don't look as bad as they looked week 1, I guess is the best way to put it.
Sure.
We're about to find out Saturday.
Donovan Smith, 12-21 for 142 yards. He
rush
can't
it
throw.
Well. He's terrible.
They did run it well. 42 carries, 237 yards as a team, averaged 5.6.
And that's what worries me.
That should be a little concerning. Yes.
More than anything, it's just that their run game looks pretty good. Their quarterback is bad. And then BYU, fairly close in the first half, 17-7 at halftime. They end up cruising 34-14 over Wyoming. BYU 3-0. They're probably at best a middle of the pack Big 12 school this season, but at least they look like they could be a team that, can sneak up and get somebody that maybe has to go to Provo and has a bad night in the altitude.
You beat Wyoming at Wyoming. Other seasons they've been better than they are this season. I don't know that Wyoming this year is anything to write home about as they sit at 0-3. That all said, until you've lost, you're still winning. So we'll see what the ceiling is for this
Very
BYU
poignant.
team. Yeah, you're welcome for
Very
that.
poignant,
Uh,
Aaron.
but-
Until you've lost, you're still winning.
In any case, we'll see
I
what
like
this
it.
BYU team is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either.
They're 3-0. I give them credit for being 3-0. I won't, I haven't paid attention to BYU enough. I paid attention. I've done a good job this year, football wise, with my schedule as crazy as it is. I've been able to. I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable about most of the teams. BYU, I don't have a great feel for. Yes,
I don't know that BYU has a great feel for who BYU is yet.
I'm hoping they have a better feel for it than me. Hoping.
Probably safe to say, but
all right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. We will be back tomorrow night with the BBP. Until then, that's the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com.
see ya.